Cardinals followed an ancient tradition to select the next pope. The iconic white smoke finally rose above the Sistine Chapel last evening. Now, a signal that a new pope had been chosen. American Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost is the 267th pontiff. And is now called Pope Leo XIV. Now, let's take a look on what's making headlines, matters politics, of course. Now, Ruto nominates EBN as IEBC chair to serve for 1 6-year term. Now, President William Ruto has nominated Erastus EBN as the new chairman of the Independent Electoral and Monitoring Commission. Now, the president, in a statement issued by the Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service, Felix Koskei, said that he nominated Mr. EBN as the new IEBC chairperson, and if approved by Parliament, he will steer the Electoral Commission for a single term of 6 years. He also named 6 IEBC commissioners nominees, who include Anne Njerin Derito from Nyandarua, Moses Alutalala Muhwana from Kakamega County, now Mary Karen Sorobit from Uasin Gishu County, and Mary Karen Hassan Nur Hassan from Mandera County, Francis Odhiambo Odol from Kisumu, and Fahima Arafat Abdallah from Lamu. Now, he said the selection panel recommended 2 candidates for the position of the chairperson and 9 candidates to fill 6 positions of member. Koskei said in recognition of the indispensable role of the IEBC as one of the cornerstone institutions of the country's democracy. The president also urged the National Assembly to prioritize consideration of this nomination. Remember, this follows after the passing of the then IEBC chairperson, that is Wafula Chebukati, which followed to a vetting of new commissioners, and of course, new commissioners and new chairperson. And of course, President William Ruto yesterday nominated Erastus EBN as the new chair to serve for 1 6-year term. Of course, remember the vetting, which started on April 25th, started on March 27th, ended in April 25th of 2025. Now, farewell to radio trailblazer. Now, the life of Edward Carey Francis Quach, revered voice in radio, was celebrated in a moving cathedral in Nairobi yesterday. Family, friends, and colleagues and fans came to bid farewell to a man whose influence stretched beyond the airways. Known for his sweet charisma and unforgettable voice, the death of Quach on April 28th, after a short illness, left a deep void in the hearts of many. At the time of his death, Quach was a radio presenter at Spice FM, one of the radio stations under the Standard Group. Now, his life was celebrated in tears and words that recalled him as a radiant soul, a pioneer in local radio broadcasting and relentless creative spirit, and above all, beloved son, brother, and a friend of course. Rest in peace, Quach. Right? Moving on, heroic send-off. Still on the Standard newspaper data today, heroic send-off of as body of slain Kasipul Member of Parliament Were is ferried home. Of course, yesterday emotions ran high as the body of slain Kasipul Member of Parliament Ongondo Were was transported to his home ahead of his burial today. Now, thousands of mourners lined up several towns to await for his body, which was flown to Kabunde airstrip shortly after 11 a.m. Now, the crowd, comprising people of 8 constituencies in Homa Bay County, thronged the airstrip to receive Were's body. The convoy ferrying the body and left for his home as mourners followed. Of course, the slain Kasipul Member of Parliament, that is Charles Ongondo, will be laid to rest today, and we'll be keeping tabs with that particular story as it unfolds, and we'll be bringing you in subsequent bulletins later on in the day. Now, let's move on to the Daily Nation dated today. Now, top story in the Daily Nation, Pope Leo the 14th. Now, after 2 days of voting, a multitude are anxiously waiting at St. Peter's Square. White smoke billowed from the Sistine Chapel chimney last evening, signaling the election of a new leader of the Catholic Church. Now, American Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost is the 267th pontiff, I beg your pardon. He takes the name of Pope Leo the 14th. Now, of course, that particular story is on page 2, 3, and 4 of the Daily Nation dated today. And really remember, a day before yesterday, there was a black smoke, meaning that the election were not reaching the 2/3 requirement for the election of the new Pope. But yesterday, a white smoke was seen, saying that Pope Leo the 14th is the new Pope of the Catholic faithful around the globe. Now, the 267th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church is American-born Robert Francis Prevost, who chose the name Leo 14th after his election yesterday. His profile on the Vatican website says he was born on September 14th of 1995. He'll be turning 70 this year in Chicago, the U.S. of Illinois. Now, he was ordained as a priest on June 19th of 1982, whereas his predecessor, Pope Francis, belonged to the Jesuit order. Pope Leo XIV is from the Augustinian order. Now, it adds that he was created and proclaimed cardinal by Pope Francis in the consistory of September 30th of 2023. Of course, congratulations to Pope Leo XIV. Of course, these are celebrations across the Catholic faithful and, of course, the Christians at large. Let's take a look on what's making headlines. Of course, in the Daily Nation, of course, this matters Pope, the new Pope, and of course, surprise as Ruto picks in the corners. IBC chief. We'll take a look at that particular story on the Standard newspaper. Let's take a look on what's making headlines on the Star newspaper dated today, the 9th of May, 2025. Now, the chosen Pope, top story on the Star newspaper. He's pictured there of Pope Leo the 14th. Now, fresh vetting panic grips MPs as feuds with guards emerge. Now, panic has gripped MPs following the shocking murder of Member of Parliament of Kasipul Ongondowere and fresh revelations of growing tensions with their bodyguards. Now, Speaker Moses Wetangula has ordered the vetting of all MPs' security personnel. Remember, this follows the shooting. Remember, Ongondowere, that is the member of Kasipul, who was shot dead along Ngong Road. Now, panic has gripped. Now, the National Assembly Speaker, Moses Wetangula, has now ordered the vetting of all MPs' security personnel, citing the need to reassess their loyalty and suitability. Now, the move comes after Were was gunned down at City Mortuary roundabout along Ngong Road last Wednesday, a brazen act that has sent shockwaves through the political class. Now, his bodyguard and the driver were among 10 people currently in custody in connection with the killing. Speaking during Were's Requiem Mass at the Consolata Shrine in Nairobi, Wetangula called for an urgent action to review the personal security arrangements of legislators, quoting a Swahili proverb, added "Kikulacho kingoni mwako," loosely meaning that what is inside your clothing. Right, the vetting order comes amid emerging reports of strained relationships between bodyguards and drivers, largely over financial disputes. Multiple aides have accused some lawmakers of pocketing allowances meant for them, allegations that Parliament has strongly denied. Remember, yesterday, Police IG, that is Douglas Kanja, issued a press briefing yesterday saying that they have arrested suspects and they have recovered the gun which is suspected to have killed the slain member of Parliament of Kasipul. Right? Let's take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports on the Standard newspaper. Now, the Standard newspaper in the world of sports says Arsenal fall short again as striker woes haunt Arteta. Now, Arsenal fell short on the big stage again as their painful Champions League semi-final exit against Paris Saint-Germain, that is the PSG, left Mikel Arteta to rue his club's failure to provide him with enough attacking options. Arteta's side were unable to reach the Champions League for the first time in 19 years as PSG clinched a 10-1 win at the Parc des Princes on Wednesday. Right, trailing 1-0 from last week's first leg in the North London, the Gunners made a blistering start at the second leg but couldn't convert their chances. Saves inspired PSG 3-1 aggregate victory. Right, That's what's making headlines on the dailies today. You're now up to speed with what you're waking up to as far as the news is concerned. Now, I'll be having a guest, Matters film industry. He is a director and an actor. We'll be talking much about the film industry. How is the industry as such now? Is it paying and what not? My name is Martin Macharia. We're taking a short breather here on The Drift in the morning with me, Martin Macharia. We'll be back in just a bit.